Scott, Steve, how's it going over there on your edge of the continent?
It's going well. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy Monday to everyone, and welcome to this edition of Office Hours. I'll be your host, and my name is Jamie, and I got Steve riding shotgun with me as usual. So before we get rolling here, just a quick word to make the attorneys happy. Just want to make sure everybody in attendance is aware of the fact that all of the information that we share with you guys is for educational purposes only, simply meaning if you need investment advice, what to buy, what to sell, when to do it, all that good stuff. That's not what we're here for. If you need that type of advice, please seek out someone like a registered investment advisor, Series 7 licensed stockbroker, someone who's legally allowed and licensed to dispense that type of information to you. Alrighty, I think that'll cut it. Always like to take a little time at the top of the hour here to kind of point out the environment or the community that we've built around Trade Ideas Pro. Of course, I was in there this morning listening to Barry. The Traders Room, hosted by Mr. Barry Anderson, opens the doors 30 minutes before every open and is a great place to just trade, share ideas, and learn. Doesn't matter if you're a brand new trader, intermediate, or a grizzled veteran. It's a great environment to be in. So the other thing that's really nice about it, other than Barry, is the price, which is $0. Okay, it doesn't cost you anything to get in there and interact. Oops, my button's not working there. You don't even have to have a membership to or a subscription to Trade Ideas to get in there and try out the trading room. So if you have not done that, by all means, try it out. Of course, every other Monday you get myself and Steve with office hours. Steve's going to take the steering wheel on every other Tuesday with the trade of the week. Andy Linloff's going to ride shotgun with him. Hump day comes around. Of course, every other hump day, you get Dan Merkin, our CEO and founder, along with Brad Williams. Always interesting with those two. Andy's going to round out the 5 p.m. Eastern every other day webinars with the Trading Studio, and I ride shotgun with him. But every day without fail, Monday through Friday, we do have the daily support session, which is 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. On the next slide here, you'll see how to get to it. trade-ideas.com/live. Once you get there, you can easily bookmark it. Same address each and every time. Daily support session giving you real-time screen setup of whoever's hosting that day. It's a great place to get any questions answered in real time, as well as learn from the educator that's in place that day. So once again, trade-ideas.com/live. When that's not active during the support session, you can also view the trading room through the YouTube channel as well. And lastly here, TI University, also a great way to learn, especially when you're brand new to the product. If you're new, 101 and 201 are simply a must. Helps you get over all the basic functionality, navigation, the difference between all the windows like top list and alert windows. You can start and stop these videos whenever you'd like because they're all hosted on our Trade Ideas YouTube channel. So just cruise on over to the YouTube, look for Trade Ideas, and you'll find our channel. Search for TI University, and these should come right up. And now let's get to the content for today. So I'm going to let Steve kick it off here in a moment, just looking at the overall market action. A little bit of action from Holly today, and not that active, but about 5 trades on the blotter today, and some examples of both conservative and moderate spread, trade arounds, and a little bit of add-on action there as well. Then we're going to talk about the stock races. I was just telling Steve I'm really happy with my methodology as of late on really narrowing down my universe, making it easier to manage as far as symbols that I have to monitor. And today's going to be a great example of using that methodology, and also a little bit of the benefits of being patient and waiting for the setups to materialize versus, you know, shooting from the hip, going early, taking trades off the open, and so forth. So Steve, if you are ready, I will kick it on over to you.
Probably good timing too, because there's probably a lot of people scratching their heads right now trying to figure out how to trade this market. It's certainly
Yeah.
not an easy one. Seen it before, seeing it again. I'm just going to come at you from we are in a bear market perspective. There's no dips to buy. We're on the other side of the mountain here. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to start out with the weekly. And so there's a couple things going on here in the weekly time frame that I think is really important. Notice how the SPY weekly, and by the way, the head and shoulders is just, too much. Now we're in a channel, we're in a bear market. The only question is right now is, are we going to bounce on a weekly perspective off of this test here? And let's zoom in a little bit. It's a triple test. This week has just begun, it's a weekly candle, but this is a triple test of the 200-week moving average, which so far has held. Cannot say the same for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is now bleeding down through the 200-day for the third week in a row if it closes like that. And the IWM, the small cap bags, all the stuff that people like under $5 and whatnot, and hoping that PR news comes out. That's been under the 200-day for even longer. It's actually its second visit under the 200-week, excuse me. So small caps gave it a rise, found a base there, I should say, gave a rise up and through, found the 50-week declining moving average, and we've slammed back through. Now, I preface this by saying, we're going to come from a bear market perspective and go back to the SPY. There comes a time when I'm going to go to the daily actually on this one. The perspective I'm going to give is like, it's just the opposite. It's like upside down. These are the upside down cup and handles that we used to see a year and a half ago. But now I kind of liken this to them, just dropping a basketball and just waiting for it to bounce and bounce. And who knows how long it will bounce. But every time it makes a higher low and a lesser attempt to move higher, we're in a bear market. That is probably going to be tested. And this is something that we really haven't seen a lot of. We've seen the market really defend these major levels. And so we are here again, just like we were back here. And I was just as bearish back here on the daily. On that candle right there, the market turned around and gave us a light volume pop right up into the 20-day. And then gap down, and then here we are again. I don't know how much longer this line can be held without testing it at least a couple more times. So, that's the S&P. and NASDAQ is much worse. NASDAQ is actually making a new closing low on the year. If you can see that red candle below the prior red candle. So we're at a new low. People are going to come home from work tonight and they're going to see the headlines and NASDAQ close at an all-time low for the year. They're going to call their money manager and say, what in the hell are you doing? That's even if they pick up the phone. They're probably in the fetal position right now, trying to avoid their clients, because there's no hiding. There's just really no hiding in this market except for the dollar, UUP. So that's the only thing really going up. Silver, I still think has a play in store, but it's extremely manipulated, but it's building a base. Not only that, I tweeted out earlier, I don't have it, but it's showing this is like the 8th month in a row that the physical silver is being pulled out of the vaults and the bullion. They're net negative for like the last 8 months. So the paper prices and the futures price, I don't think really reflect what's going on over there. So something feels like it's ready to give, and there's really no safe space. Before I give it back, sorry I wasn't there last week. Rum was the call last week, and it's just basically staying within this channel, within those blue lines. So I don't know what's going to happen to it. This is probably a stock that's probably going to need some PR, some sort of a news dump like Elon Musk is all in. So I'm really taking a chance on this one. I'm just going to sit in it. It's not going to bother me. But this week, nothing was going down, nothing was really going up and looking good. But if I zoom into this chart, even though it's had a couple of movements in the past, this stock is still 50% short the float, and it's sitting there above all its moving averages, just kind of perched sideways. That's a beautiful bullish pattern, especially on something that's come down and based and is looking to really change its tune. But that 17 million float and the 50% of that being short, this could be a recipe for a pretty good short squeeze. Now, it's probably not the most ideal backdrop for a short squeeze. Usually those happen in more bullish markets, but it doesn't take away from the fact there's 50% of the shorts in there. If it gets back above that blue line and this trade triggers, it could really have something behind it. And all I'm going to say is my theory is that the European gas shortage and energy shortage we're all hearing about, those people are scared and they're probably trying to prepare and do their best, which might mean buying a propane barbecue or a coal barbecue. And Weber has global sales and a factory in Europe. So who knows? Maybe that's a theory. That's just my theory, but the relative strength here is incredible. And at any moment, this thing could go. So just put a price alert in there and be prepared. That's all I'm really watching, Jamie.
Yeah, I was licking my chops thinking that was gonna trigger, today. It got pretty close, but
It's a
we
little
shall see.
wily. It had a little
Mhm.
low, a little volume today, so it's not really, it's not a big cap by any means, but we've all heard about Weber barbecue. It's just that 50% short the float has got my attention.
Absolutely. Continue to watch. We'll see what it does tomorrow. Okay. Oops, hold on. I hit the wrong button here. Okay. Now we should be good to go. Yeah. All right. Okay, welcome back to my desktop, everybody. So my compare count readings, 66% bearish, I think, or actually I kind of screwed them up a little bit today because I had a system seize up, but it was very negative to the down, or excuse me, a very bearish count. And let's see what we look like. Well, it seems I'm having a linking issue. Oh no, what is doing that? I don't even have any other apps open. All right, well, try one more time.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah, I don't
no.
know. It was working perfectly. Okay, what do
I
we
don't
got
know
going
what's
on
going
here?
on there.
All right, bear with me, ladies and gents. I don't have any other programs open that I'm linked to. But I tell you what, I don't know if that old link, well, bear with me. It's not letting me click on anything right now. It's like in slow motion. Come on. All right. Um, Cue the elevator music. I don't know if we're going to make it out of this. I don't really know what's going on.
Well, what about reset connection? You might as well try that.
Well, it won't let me click on any of these.
Okay, you're frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like those
maybe.
charts you're trying to talk to somebody.
Yeah, see, there's little things going across the top. Sometimes this happens, ladies and gents, with being on the latest dev version, but um, man. Okay, well, it gave me that. Stop. Okay, let me make sure that that old link, I don't have any links. They're gone. Okay, so are we out of the woods?
I'm gonna try reset connection just for fun.
You see all that crazy stuff going on at the top of the
Yeah, on the
chart?
chart, this drawing up there.
Okay, well, at least it did what I asked. It's just taking way too long here. Okay.
Mm,
Well, worst case scenario, I can shut it down and reopen because I did save my layout before I got in here, but let's just see. Really odd.
yeah, that's like
Okay, let's give it a reset. I'll shut down my VPN just in case that's causing the issue.
hmm
Man,
Well, I wonder if it's because you're sharing on GoToMeeting now. There's just some sort of conflict with your latest dev version.
I don't know. Okay, okay. Whew, thank you. Okay,
Feeling
looks like we're
better over
back.
there? All right.
Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties, ladies and gents. At least we were able to recover from that. I didn't have to shut down. Needless to say, a bearish count after that measly gap up. Well, I guess maybe I spoke too soon here. Um, But you can see the majority of the move was to the downside. So the compare count's doing their job. Doesn't take a genius to figure out that that might have happened today, but definitely a lot of red in those opening compare counts. The market followed suit. So got some really cool stuff to talk about with the races and how that all panned out today, especially considering the fact that we're in a bear market. And these races are really helping me zero in on the stocks. Most of them are small caps that for one reason or another, mainly more buying than selling, these things are going up and they're going up well. So we're going to get into that. But first, let's take a look at Holly because there is a little bit of meat on the bone, so to speak.
Would love to see Weber on the races tomorrow.
You never know. And that's, you're bringing up something very interesting. I'm going to tie that in when we get to the race stocks and when you get double confirmation. And what I mean by that is, hey, I'm seeing this, then I'm hearing somebody else talk about it. So you're like, hey, I'm seeing it, they're talking about it, might be good. And we'll get into that in just a second. But first off, let's talk about Holly, because the things that we do like to showcase when they are there are the conservative versus moderate spread. Was there any way to get a little bit more out of a trade just by some simple chart reading? There was a good example in Neuro today. So let's take a look at that short. Of course, 5 signals coming from Holly, 4 of which were short. So first on the list, we're taking a look at Neuro here. We're looking at conservative profit versus aggressive profit, or excuse me, moderate, I should say, not necessarily conservative. Redo that, conservative versus moderate profit. You can see right here in conservative mode, because the target had been hit pretty early on, right about here. We got the short coming in at 329. Boom, the profit target gets hit. It proceeds lower. Then it starts to base here for a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A 2-hour little consolidation right there, and then a break lower. So this little area right here would have been a great, if you're keeping tabs on it, you took a little piece with Holly, maybe you covered a little bit up there at that profit target, or maybe you were just like, hey, this thing's got some momentum. I'm going to see how it plays out. In any case, you would have been rewarded nicely. And this little area right here would have been a nice time to add as we break that level and head lower. So from roughly a little under $3 and change, let me get my pointer there, about 298 all the way down to, let's just call it 270. A nice percentage move from that second break would have been a nice time to add to the position there. The volume, when we're considering this, hey, does it have enough oomph as far as volume goes to get down there? If it does break, well, when these volume levels, especially on the 5-minute, we're seeing 34 times normal. And of course, that's going to ebb and flow throughout the day. But these volume levels were pretty pretty jacked up as far as Neuro goes, and finished the day with a over 21 on the relative scale. So when you see patterns like this emerging, and you got this volume behind them, doesn't necessarily guarantee, but it sure increases the odds of the move occurring. So some nice uh, spread between conservative and moderate right there to the tune of almost 3x, all right? Of course, all the values that you see here as far as the profit loss go, we're just assuming that we're in 100 shares of each trade. So not too bad there. Moderate versus conservative spread and a nice time to add to the trade there. All right, I saw the questions panel flux in there, Steve. Let me know if I need to circle back on anything as we talk about this stuff. So NeuroFit, the add-on portion and the conservative versus moderate spread, we did have a decent trade around in tops. If you've been trading, watching the races for the past couple of weeks, tops has been all over the place. That thing likes to get up and boogie. And today it did, but it got up and boogie to the downside. So when we're talking about trade arounds, typically I reserve this section for or this topic for a stock or trade that has been stopped out, but then we observe. If we see the AI getting stopped out, as we do here in the tops trade today, opening candle right here, a nice little rip up, and then Holly decides to get short right up here in this area right here, or actually right there. and you can see how quickly the stop came. 826, stop out at 860, which anybody that's been trading tops here lately knows that you got to give it probably a little bit more than the 35 cents. So notice how it reacted around the stop area right here. We got a wick here, back down, another wick up top, and then whoosh. It never looked back once it punched back through that stop area. So by watching how tops reacted at the stop area, could have been, initiating a short up there at the stop area using these wicks or just slightly outside of these wicks as your risk, right? And of course, after that, it was off to the races, but to the downside. So look at that move, 860 from the stop area down to about the $6 area. So over 2.5 points to the downside on tops, watching the AI get hit and stopped out, then observing how the stop area acts or is how the stock is reacting to it. In this case, it acted as a form of resistance. Now we can always confirm that by taking a gander at the at the daily, and notice a nice little butt up right to the previous high right there for confirmation as well. So especially after the little run up that it had, try seller, wick here, wick right up to the daily close of Friday as well, and mimicking that action over here. So that's how we can use the AI, take advantage of the AI's misfortune when it gets stopped out. And Tops is a classic example of that today. All right, well, that's about it for Holly. Short and sweet. So now let's get on to the other stuff, which is pretty much the races, okay? And you guys have heard me talk about this in prior webinars, but the old adage goes, if it ain't broke, don't go trying to fix it. And not only is it not broken, it keeps working. And as I get more and more used to this methodology, it just makes a whole lot of sense. And of course, it is very simple. So it's really helping me reduce the universe of stocks that I look for the pattern that I like to trade the most, especially in this market. I'm pretty much 100% scalping these days, unless something just looks too good on the daily. I might risk a little bit on a swing trade. But they continue to produce excellent scalping candidates, and especially considering the fact that we're in this red market or bear market, as we could call it, and it's still finding the stocks that are going up. And that's not to say that we can't use the races for the downside action as well, but when we take a look at some of the ones that were identified today, you'll see what I'm talking about. So let me clear some room over here. Give me a sec. Go2 likes to put all its windows on top, and then I can't get to the ones I want to, so bear with me. Okay, now let's talk about reducing my universe. Before I started using the races in this capacity, I basically had to watch a ticker that was looking at the entire market in my old Turbo Breaks Up ticker. And as you can imagine, as some of you know, and there's a lot of stuff coming through there, it's literally impossible to find all the good ones or to even try to be in the good ones with the proper timing. But today, this is how many stocks that I archived to build my list. And you can see right here, 45 symbols collected from my stock races. And I got on the first hour here, but really though, those were all collected within the first 30 minutes or so, pretty much. I might have went a little bit longer than that, but after that first 15 minutes is when things start heating up. And you can see over here in the spreadsheet, 45. Now, of the 45 symbols that I collected, simply by clicking on the race winners as they come out, and just simply clicking on my heart up here, which means I like the symbol, it adds it to my liked list. And of course, this guy right here, that's all he's looking at. So look at the simple configuration. It's just a new high. Relative volume's got to be 1.5, and then we're looking at my liked symbol list. So makes the process pretty darn easy. And I start, I unmute this 15 minutes into the open. That gives me at least 3 5-minute candles to take a look at there and go, hey, this thing's doing what I want it to, or I think I'll wait a little bit longer. But out of 45 archive symbols today, you can see the ones that I've highlighted and made a little bit bigger here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that set up nicely. And those are the ones that I was slinging around today. So once again, waiting for those setups to occur. Now, let's talk a little bit about waiting, right? I'm going to go ahead and switch this guy. We'll just expand this one out because it's got pre-market, okay? So if you're looking to take trades on the open, a lot of the times this pre-market can act as a good guide. In other words, if the market opens and we're just creeping up and about to breach the highs of the pre-market, might be a good trade. Comes with more risk, right? Because you're not giving that pattern in the regular session time to develop, but you can get some big movers here. But today I resigned myself. I'm like, okay, don't get FOMO on the open, fear of missing out. Okay, let the setups come to you, and let's just see what happens today. So once again, in the market conditions that we had today, I just didn't even take anything on the open. A lot of these things weren't really conducive either with the pre-market range. Tops is kind of a good example. We had a nice little range playing out here, but it gets ruined right before the market opens, right? Because you can see that was the last candle in the pre-market range. If it would open down here, whatever. But when I see these, I tend to shy away. It's just not worth the risk. So just let the trades come to me, right? So let's take a look at how that played out today. And we're going to start with this little guy right here. I'm going to circle back around to what I was commenting on earlier. When you get kind of confirmation, you're thinking one thing and then you hear somebody else say the same thing, right? GGE was a great example of that today. Let me expand this 5-minute chart out. Okay, we can see the pre-market, not a bad pre-market range in GGE. And we can see the first candle today of the regular session busted through it, but it took a little pullback, so you would have had to sit a little bit, sweat a little bit there. But if we waited for the regular session, okay, then this is what we got. We got a breach of this pre-market range here. High was put in on the first candle right here. This is the line right here. So for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about the first 35 minutes, it's just flopping around in that range. All of a sudden, and by the way, as I'm watching this pattern unfold, I'm listening in on Barry's room, and I'm thinking to myself, ooh, GGE looks like it might be setting up good. I'm starting to look over here at the daily, and then who do I hear? I hear Barry go, hey guys, this GGE, it might have some room. So once I hear Barry say that, and then I see this trigger here as we punch through, I hear it come through my speech to text, comes across my ticker here, and comes across right there as that breach is occurring on the opening range break, right? I'm like, okay, don't get too aggressive, just take a little piece here, all right? And what did we have? We had a quick little pullback. But of course, sometimes they go right off the bat, sometimes they don't. So then I channel Steve as well. Now we're looking at 15-minute candles, all right? Right here, 9 o'clock, opening candle, second candle, right as the third 15-minute candle starts, boom, I make my entry. It pulls back on me. I'm thinking to myself, well, I still like it. Look what we have right here, okay? A pullback right to the 10 period, a little wick up. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to add to it. So my initial buy on the breach, second buy here, and then we get liftoff. Went in, sold some here, comes back down here, thinking to myself, well, the volume's pretty good in this one. And when I say pretty good, look how we closed with volume today, 42.48. Now, Barry brought up another good point. Looking at KWeb, GGE is going against the trend, okay? So it's a Chinese stock bucking the trend of most of the other Chinese stocks. So I'm identifying the pattern, Barry's identifying the pattern, Barry's also pointing out it's bucking the trend on the other Chinese stocks. In my other account, the one that's not connected to Brokerage Plus here, went ahead and scooped up a little bit more right there. And let me tell you why. Once I set this pullback right here, I'm thinking to myself, well, I like that little wick that occurred right there. So once this candle started, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and buy some more. I'm going to have a really small risk here because all I'm going to do is risk the outside of that wick, and I think it's on the upturn. Okay, so this worked out in a couple of different accounts. You can see my buys here, my sells here. Now we've also got a little widget up here in the charts that when you trade through Brokerage Plus, it's going to show you what your average cost is, and while you're open, it's going to show you what your P&L is as well. So not too shabby on GGE. Race stock, heard Barry talking about it. Chinese stock bucking the trend, all the other Chinese stocks. And it also had massive volume and exhibiting the patterns that I like to see, which is simple opening range break. Pull back to the 10, nice add opportunity. So average cost of $1.76 in this account and getting out, not at the top, but not too shabby on the exits up here. So GGE, a nice little mover, and you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm not going to remove it from the watch list tomorrow, because if we get above this level over here, 231, well, we got a little bit more room up here up to the 280 level. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on GGE tomorrow as well. All right, moving right along. My fingers are just fumbly today. PR. Come on, charts. Why? Okay. You know, I'm thinking it's something with the go-to, Steve. I don't know why it's doing this. All right, well, thank you, finally. All right, pretty straightforward on this guy right here. Opening candle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 2 hours and 15 minutes into the open. Puts in its high early, takes a little excursion down here, sets its bottom. Finally, you know, over time, grinds back up. Of course, when it's in this level right here, not even really cognizant of it, okay? The only time I'm gonna be alerted to this right here as it's breaking is when it's hitting a new high. And when you see this energy expenditure here, but then you get this nice little wedging on the intraday right here, man, that's a low risk trade, okay? Entry level there, the low of the prior 15-minute candle down here, but you know, just looks a little too good to be true, but it never looked back and saw those areas again. If you're looking at the prior 15-minute candle or just kind of eyeballing this level here, you got a really small risk level and then a very nice move up. And if you were looking to add on this one, you had a nice opportunity here. And then, you know, first opportunity here, second opportunity here, probably the bigger move of the day right here, and never really backed off a whole lot. Tested that 10 period one time. How was the volume in PRVB? Well, not as big as the other one, but still nothing to sneeze at. 3.23, and the 5-minute volume was kicking pretty well most of the day. So just a nice clean entry in PRVB. You got a nice add opportunity right about there, and just a clean upside trade in this market. So nice one. Next on the list, WVE. Okay, this one happened a little bit closer, and this is why I start watching them 15 minutes. Or excuse me, actually these are 15-minute candles, so about an hour in here, all right? Keep getting my 15s and 5s confused. So we got this guy occurring right here, all right? Low of the prior 15-minute area or candle would have been right here. So not nearly as juicy of a reward, risk to reward ratio here, but still nothing to sneeze at nonetheless on about a 2-to-1 here. Not really any, I mean, you could have added right here, but just wasn't a whole lot of room in that one. But still a nice clean break from the 420 area, 421 area, and a move up to a high of 442. So, you know, probably the least of the bunch, but still offering a 5% move from that breakout level there, and nicely identifiable. All right, this one's also been hitting the races lately as well. Peggy, and then I think one from last week was Lucy. So Peggy and Lucy been making the rounds as we kind of chop around up here on the daily. I think this is a relatively new issue as well. Yeah, so looking at the weekly over here, always like to do a little anchor the VWAP here. Let's see what it says. Okay, and we're now above the anchored VWAP on the weekly, so this is probably a good one to keep an eye on tomorrow as well. This one kind of doing the little bull flag on the 15, get a nice little run up, and finally get a little sideways movement here for about an hour. Let's see, where did Peggy get triggered here? Probably gonna have to go back to the 5-minute because it came real. This is the one I was thinking about on the prior trade. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So this was right on the money on a 30-minute opening range break. Of course, doesn't look quite so good on the 15, but this is why I watched the 5 in the first 30, 45 minutes or so. But a nice little entry coming right here at 374 as it breaks its opening range. Finished the day with some pretty decent relative volume, 11, not too bad. But this one presented a couple of different times here where we could have added if we were wanting to be aggressive here. So the first move, 376, tops out up here at 409, bases out again, presents a nice additional add right here, and then even just on down the line here. Little swoop back down there, but if you're managing your profits and your risk, plenty of time to take money off the table on this one. So basically 374 up to a high of 487 or so. So, even right here before we took the little downturn from 376 up to almost 460 there, almost taking out a point on a low dollar stock like this. Nothing to sneeze at. And look at the order that this one went up in. Okay, a lot of pretty charts here today. So just a beautiful long side trade in Peggy with a nice simple entry and low risk as well. What was the risk, you might be saying? Well, if this is the entry candle, 5, 10, 15, our risk is right down here. So as far as risk to reward here, off the charts. Just nice and clean energy stock. Now I think they're more into the new energy storage, yeah, electric storage, but energy nonetheless. Okay, so pretty Peggy on that one, Peggy Sue. But you think that they can't get any prettier until you see one like this, LLAP. I mean, look at this thing. Look at how orderly the up move was and pretty sleepy for about an hour and 20 minutes as we just went sideways for a good long while here. And then boom, range break. And I mean, it's just ridiculous how low the risk was on this one, right? You can barely see that, right? And just whoosh, that first leg was nice, but it ain't done yet. Takes a little pullback, offers another opportunity to add to the position there. So, I mean, this little guy all the way from $2 and topped out up here at 250, but just a nice orderly up move. Clearly, somebody is accumulating this one. Not even a low floater. When we look down here at the float, 80 million. Typically consider a low floater 20 million or less. Only putting in 3.5 million shares, but this is the kicker right here. Almost 11 on the relative scale, and this 5-minute volume is pretty much off the charts all day. And that is one of the characteristics when I'm looking at these race stocks as they hit my new high ticker pattern, of course, but then a lot of the times, and I haven't put statistics to this yet, it's more of just an observation or a correlation. When we see the high relative volume and we're seeing that high 5-minute volume stay constant, well, that gives me, a lot more confidence, especially if the pattern's intact, just to go bam, hit it, and then pay attention to the add-ons when they present themselves, because clearly, you know, who's accumulating? Don't know, don't really care, but somebody is. So just a beautiful trade in double LAP with some really good add-on opportunity there as well. And, you know, not a lot of hair pulling on any of these trades that we went over today. So out of 45, 46 stocks, still keeping with that roughly 10% hit rate. But we had a down market today. So another thing that I've noticed personally is that these are some of the best days. Of course, if we have an up day, even better if we're green and it's not all gapped. But on these days where the SPY's just, well, I like to call it a pink day, you know, because my colors up here get, you know, darker red as the change from open increases. But a lot of the times when the SPY's just floundering around along with these other, you know, indices, and we're not really, you know, falling off a cliff, that's when some of these lower cap, lower float stocks really do their thing. And today's a classic example of that. So pretty stress-free trading and a really good hit rate today, all from the races. So does anybody have any questions about the methodology that I'm discussing here? Any aspects of it? When do I start watching? When do I start liking stocks? When do I start hitting trades? Risk management? Any questions about any of that stuff? Okay.
Guess not.
Looks like there are no questions. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So Scott, if you're ready to let everybody know how they can save a little do-re-mi on a new sub or an upgrade, I guess it's that time.
Yeah, sure. Let's head into the slides. And yeah, before we get going, just a couple reminders. Get my favorite strategy indicators ebook. Just go to tradeIdeas.com/strategy to get that for free. It's got some advice from our director of software development. Also, keep in mind that we have a partnership with Interactive Brokerage. Go to tradeIdeas.com/IBKR to learn about that. If you connect your Interactive Brokerage account with your Trade Ideas instance, you can trade directly from Trade Ideas through your Interactive Brokerage account and manage all your positions, all that kind of good stuff. Got a similar partnership with E-Trade, and there's zero commission. So if you already have an E-Trade account, you can connect your E-Trade account to our Brokerage Plus module within Trade Ideas and trade commission free. But more importantly, and you can learn about that at tradeIdeas.com/eTrade. But more importantly, we have a test drive coming up starting next Monday. So it lets you try all of Trade Ideas premium features for 2 weeks for a nominal fee that covers your exchange data and the extra support that's incurred. Just go to trade-ideas.com/test drive. If you're already a Trade Ideas subscriber on standard, lets you test out premium features. And if you are not yet a subscriber, you can try all of Trade Ideas premium features for 2 full weeks starting October 17th, and it ends on the 31st on Halloween. It's going to be a fun, spooky time, whatever. Anyways, go to trade-ideas.com/test drive. And if you want to sign up now and save a little cash, just use the code FASTDATA. It saves you 15% off any new subscription or upgrade. And if you have any questions, email us info@trade-ideas.com. You can find us on YouTube or /TradeIdeas there. Jamie is QuantBot on the Twitters. Steve has TISTG. And of course, we're Trade Ideas Pro on Facebook. The recording of the session will be up later on tonight or tomorrow on our YouTube channel, so stay tuned for an email from GoToWebinar with a reminder about how to find that playlist. Thanks, everyone. The recording will be up tonight or tomorrow morning, and we'll get that email reminder tomorrow about how to find it. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Steve.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye-bye.